Hi, Tom. Thank you so much for coming here tonight. We wanted to know all about you. Well, Brian and I already know a little bit about you. If you could tell everybody kind of a bit about your journey as a seller, your services that you offer, and I would also love to hear about your travel experiences, where you've gone and how these businesses have improved your life. So go ahead and
Well,
take it away.
I'll give you thank you very much, Ozzy. Thank you for having me. I'll give you the like abridged version, and then obviously you can dive in with more detail if you want. So if you want to know, my name's Tom, and I run a company called FastTrackFBA, which is like a service company for Amazon sellers. We do leads, VAs, and some other bits and bobs. YouTube channel. And then also I'm an Amazon seller. I've been selling on Amazon about 8 years now. Done the UK. We hit 4 million in sales in a single year. In the US right now, I do about 1.5. We have a small team. It's nice and simple, a couple of hours a week. Really, really simple that. And then what else? And I'm from the UK, you probably guess. I'm 38 years old, single, no married, no kids. I know it's kind of like all the Latina details, isn't it? And kind of the hint there. Right now, I live in Mexico City, but I have traveled the world. I kind of started off my journey, or like, not, I'll go really right back. Studied electronic engineering, failed that, went into bar management, did it for about 5 years, learned a lot. Then I went into bowling alleys for a year and a half, got fired for gross misconduct. I can tell you a story about that another day if you want to know, no problem. And then what happened? Then I went into recruitment for a year and a half, and I was going to quit that because I hated it. And then I started my first company, which was procurement, and I learned that in 4 days. We did like $200,000 in our first year, just me. And then I realized I hated dealing with the government, so I shut that business down. And then we had lots of like wholesale suppliers, and or that we were doing procurement with. And then I said, I've got the suppliers. How do I make use of them? And so I looked at eBay, didn't like the distribution model, looked at Amazon, saw FBA, and I was like, wow, these guys hold your stock. And at the time, I was living in London, so I couldn't hold stock myself. So I was like, everything had to be kind of like drop shipping style. So learned about that, started shipping products from wholesalers into Amazon, should we say, directly. Um, and then the problem came was that all the wholesalers I was dealing with were basically selling stationery, kind of other areas, and Amazon were competing on listings, and I didn't know. And I was about ready to give up. And one day, one of my friends said to me, "What would you, if you could sell anything or something different, what would it be?" And at that time, it was like October, and Christmas was coming up, and I was like, "Oh, I'd probably sell Lego because that works quite well." And in the UK, I just typed in Lego onto Amazon on Google, and I found suppliers in the UK such as like Tesco, for example. And I found that I saw they were half the price on Amazon. And I was like, damn, this is amazing. You can buy it for this price instead of that. I didn't even think about that. And this was like 8 years ago. And then that started me on the OA journey. And so I did that for another year at least. Started hiring some VAs, failed miserably, lost 10K, £10,000, but carried on, still love the model. And then broke up with my girlfriend and I started traveling. My friend said to me, I was like, I'm in London, what should I do? My friend said, well, he recommended go to Thailand for 4 weeks and just get your head cleared. Your business is online, so you can go do it online, so it doesn't matter. So I basically went to Thailand, Bangkok, Phuket, and then ended up in Chiang Mai. Called my sister up and said, "Hi, Claire, it's Tom. How are you?" "I'm good, thanks. How are you?" I said, "I'm good. By the way, I'm not coming home." She was like, "Okay, when are you coming home?" And I was like, probably never. And that was like 7.5 years ago, or like 7 years ago. And so I carried on that business whilst living in Thailand for 6 months. And then I moved to Vietnam for 2 years. And while I was in Vietnam, I started Fast Track FBA up. So I had a UK Amazon business and I had a Fast Track FBA business. We started doing leads, eventually VAs, and obviously a YouTube channel. Left Vietnam, went to Lithuania, went to Spain, Gran Canaria, the islands. Obviously traveled around a lot as well of all of Asia, on trips. And then when I was in I think when I was in, no, when I went to Cancun, moved to Cancun. And when I was in Cancun about 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, I knew I wanted to start more in America. And I knew I had to be on the time zone to make it work. So in Cancun, then we started Amazon USA. And at my peak, we were running Amazon UK, which had about 30 staff. And by the way, I don't have that many staff ever. I'll tell you that now. There's much better ways to run businesses. And then in Fast Track FBA, we had about 25 staff. And then in my US business, we had about 8 staff. And I think those numbers don't add up. But at my peak, I had 88 virtual assistants full time working for me, which is incredible. And we placed VAs with other candidates or other sellers. And then eventually we shut down the UK business about 2 years ago because the margin was declining and OA is a very different marketplace in the UK. And then, so now I run FastTrack FBA and I run my Amazon business. And now I live in Mexico City, where I've been 4 years. I still travel a lot. Like a year ago, I spent 3 months in hotels just living off points, which was really nice. Flying business class and first and everything. That was really good. And then like now, I spend my time trying to learn Spanish, work out, also trying to just be more efficient with my time rather than trying to work more, just trying to have a better quality of life. And also like networking. Like I find it so fascinating to meet amazing people. And the one thing I always kind of think about is like Elon Musk has the same number of hours in the day as I do, but somehow he's earned more money in like 1 week than I ever will in my entire life. So I'm not doing something right. What is that? And again, thinking about leverage, thinking about being efficient and effective. And the idea is you have to work hard, agreed. But like the answer is you've got to work smart, and the smart is more important than the working hard part. So like always trying to think about that. So that's a bit about my journey. And if like Fast Track FBA, we do leads. We've done 1,100 VAs for our clients over the last like 5 years, supported them. So if you ever have questions about VAs, I can fully help you with them. We've helped lots of clients. We've had 550 clients, about 1,100 VAs placed. And then, yeah, and that's it. And then now I just run my Amazon business and support other sellers, which is good fun, and travel the world. Yeah, hope that makes sense.
Great introduction there. So, at what point in time do you believe that people need or should get a VA?
Great question. So let me answer it in the way that, okay, I'll do what most people think a VA will do, and then I'll tell you what you should be thinking about, or what I always recommend with the VA. And again, I'm going to say this, there are many ways to slice an apple or run a business. So just because I say it doesn't mean it's the only way. You can always do what you want. Most people think, or that we hear, sourcing's hard, I'll hire a VA. Or I want to grow my business, I'll hire a VA. And I kind of get the idea, but it isn't really the right thing. The way you should think about it, and I always recommend to people, is there are two types of people you hire in the world. One, experts, consultants. They have probably done what you want to do many times over. They've helped many other people do it, and so therefore, when you hire them, they have a very high chance of you doing it or you learning that skill. A good example might be like if you're looking for a course provider, for example, you follow someone who has already done that journey and they've helped other people do it. So therefore, if you start on that course or that program, you are very likely to get the outcome, which is great. But usually these people, like Amanda, like Brian, you're not going to be able to pay them to be an employee in your company and source deals for you. Unfortunately, they're just going to charge you way too much money. So these consultants, these experts, that doesn't happen. So the other type of person you hire is someone who doesn't know what they're doing and they don't have like that knowledge yet, but they're willing to learn and they're willing to do under your guidance. And usually they're a lot cheaper and they work. So when we think about VAs, the way I think about it with everyone, and I try to explain it, is really you should be selling already. You should have done at least $10,000 in sales minimum, like ideally more. And you should have at least, and the metrics we use, about $5,000 in capital that you just can't spend every single week. So basically, you've sourced all your deals, you've worked really, really hard, and you've always got 5,000 in cash or credit cards available to spend that if you had the deals, you'd be able to spend. Now, ideally, you want to have that as a metric. They're kind of easy ones to think about. But then ideally, what you want to know is in your business, how do you make money? So, for example, it might be that you do like Nike sneakers and you know the suppliers for Nike sneakers. And you know that if I just go to these 5, 6, 8, 10 suppliers, and I'm always looking at the deals and what they got to sell, then I'm generally always finding deals, and that's working for me in my business. And the reason why I say this is because when you hire this person who isn't that expert like Brian or Amanda. They're coming in and they're learning, even though they're trained. Training is a very different term. We need to be very careful about that, even qualified. But what you're going to do is you're going to get them and you're going to show them exactly what you're doing. You're going to show them these are the suppliers I look at, these are the brands that I go after, and here's how I find deals. You do that now for 40 hours per week and give me the deals. And so, in effect, what you're doing is you're freeing up your time. You've already got a process which works, and you're then taking a VA and plugging them into that process. And so now you're free to grow the business in a different area, maybe another niche, maybe doing something else. But what you're not doing, and this is what most people, like some people do, and we see it a lot, is oh, it's really hard to find deals, or I don't really have a clear strategy which is working for my business, I'll hire someone and just get them to do it. And what you're really doing then is getting someone to figure it out while you pay them, which is really like not going to work in great success. But also, as well, the other one we see is whereby I'm doing Nike sneakers, it works really, really well. I'll hire a VA and my VA can do something else. And again, you're basically paying them to learn how to find products and find a niche on your dime, which is going to cost you a lot of money. And you don't really want to do that. You want to basically replace you in an operation. That's the key part. Does that make sense? Kind of alluded to a bit about like $10,000 in sales minimum. And if I could add to that, the fundamental level is when you hire someone, basically you can give them feedback about what they need to do to improve. You can give them feedback on deals in a very clear way so they understand why this is a good deal and this is a bad deal. And so therefore they can take that information and improve. But if you can't articulate what's a good deal and a bad deal, and you can't explain that to someone and you're not confident in it, and generally confidence is defined like, I've bought lots of these deals, I have sold lots of these types of deals, and I have made money from these deals. And these other deals I've bought before and I have not made money, so therefore they're bad deals and these ones are good deals. And if you can't explain that, that's really difficult to train someone else up on. I hope that makes sense.
That was really great, Tom. I wanted to touch base on something. So just so everybody knows, our first VA we got through Tom's service, Fast Track FBA. And we had done probably right around 100,000 before we got her. We were 8 months into our journey. So we had obviously some experience sourcing for ourselves, and that was all. It was just him and I sourcing, mostly doing RA. We wanted to transform and go to OA because RA was taking up a lot of our time. So, excuse me, we met Tom in person finally, about 5 months after we hired our first VA. We met him at Miami Seller Conference. There was an analogy that you said at Miami Seller Conference. So you're talking about, apples and everything right now, but like there was a forestry analogy that you had talked to us about, and it stuck with me. And I think that would be really great if everybody could hear that, if you could explain that to them as well.
There's a really good analogy I learned. I heard it a long time ago, and it was before. I think it was before I started Amazon. I'm 38. I've been doing people management for 20 years, so from the age of 18 in bars. And the analogy I really loved because it really stuck with me was what's the difference between a worker, a manager, and a leader? And we all fulfill the roles in that function when we come into our business. But as we start to hire people, we need to define what those functions are. So the analogy I'll share with you, and then I'll also try and put it in an Amazon context. So, at a fundamental level, a worker chops down trees. Their job is to chop down trees and bring you lumber back every day. You might call it deals, and chopping down trees is going out and finding trees to chop. A manager, their job is to speed up the worker. Their job is to sharpen the axe, give them tools such as seller, amp, and keeper, which basically mean that they can chop down trees faster. And again, we just want to make sure they're doing the right thing. So efficiency is what you're really thinking about. Now, a leader, which is what ultimately you all always are in your business because you're the creators of it, you're the person who is saying, which forest do we chop in? And when we talk about forests, we're really talking about like niches. It might even be marketplaces. What you might see is that, for example, right now, previously, right now, or say, right now, everyone's selling in beauty, and then next year, everyone gets into toys and everyone's leaving beauty. And so, for example, your VAs are always going to be sourcing for product in beauty. But if you don't notice that everyone started going to toys because there's more opportunity there, or maybe the beauty forest is on fire, then obviously your VAs aren't going to do such a good job. And so our job as leaders is to be looking at the forests, networking, understanding from people, seeing what's happening. And then your workers' jobs is very much chopping down the trees. And a lot of time we'll do the manager job as well, which is about looking at how can we be more efficient. This could be using tools, it can be using like AI software, even like, kind of like the tactical arbitrage tools, anything which basically improves efficiency, they can get the workers to chop down trees faster. Hope that makes sense.
That was great, Tom. Thank you so much.
You're
There's a
welcome.
there's a comment in the chat. It says, "How do you find and qualify your VAs? Do you train them? What's the process like for someone to become a VA?"
That's a really good question. So first of all, I think we need to define like what does trained or qualified VA mean? So fundamental level, what do we do with our VAs? They go through a really big vetting process, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then trained is they understand how to use the tools, they understand how to source deals, and they've done that, and they can read keeper charts, and they can basically provide deals back to you. And they also have the ability to learn from their experience. Now, as we know, there are going to be people who are 1 month into the journey, they know how to do that. But also as well, 10 months in the journey, they know how to do that just at a much higher level. The more time you spend doing it, i.e. repetition, the better you're going to get. So when we talk about VAs and qualified VAs, what we're really meaning is VAs who are kind of like fresh out of university. They know what they're doing. They haven't got many reps under their belts, but they've demonstrated the ability to do it to a good standard. And so therefore, over time, they're going to get better. Now, the way we do qualification or like hiring VAs is it all starts with, first of all, where you're finding your VAs. Now, obviously, I'm sure you've probably heard horror stories all the time. And if you were to go out right now into some of the more public Facebook groups of Amazon VAs, it's likely that you might hire someone who could be working for multiple clients, for example. So therefore, we're really kind of proactive in trying to avoid areas whereby you're going to get people, VAs, always recycling, because a lot of the time they're just not working or they've been caught out. So what we're looking for is working with affiliates, which is kind of affiliates in the Philippines to promote us, to say, hey, if you're looking to get out your corporate job and want to work from home, check out FastTrackFBA. They do training. If you look at TikTok, you'll see lots of us. We do lots of advertising in the Philippines for it as well. On top of that, obviously, we do some job boards, which have worked really well for us, and we have really good metrics. Onlinejobs.ph used to be really good, but it's just now really saturated with a lot of VAs who've been recycled, and you've got to be careful, and again, be mindful. But again, it's all about trying to find the most candidates and the best candidates you can find. And the reason why I say this is because all the training in the world won't solve the problem of a bad hire. You've got to get a good hire first before you can worry about the training. So number one, finding lots of candidates, filtering through. Now for us, they come through to our website. We have about 3,000 Filipinos visit our website every week. About 1,000 of them actually apply to work for us. They go through a 4-stage assessment process. So for us, they'll go through what's your availability to work, what are you looking for, salary-wise, and are you available right now? Now, if they say their salary is higher than what we're offering, and by the way, we post a big 25,000 peso at the top, if they say I want 35,000, we're like, no, sorry, it's not going to work, because we just realized that they're probably going to want more money. Now, number two, once we go through that, second part we're going to do is what's known as a motivation to work assessment. It's something we learned from Pepsi Cola in the Philippines. We have a whole assessment we wrote, which basically talks about kind of what's their motivation to work. And we saw a correlation with this in regards to how long our VAs last with our clients. So we're really good at filtering out VAs who want a long-term job. And then the next stage we do is a really simple sourcing assessment. We have 10 ASINs, whereby we're basically going to test for 3 metrics. One, can you find this supplier URL versus Amazon? So we want to say, can they match a product? Then number 2, can they basically take that buy price and use the Amazon revenue calculator to work out what the profit and margin is on that product? And then number 3, can they do that quickly? So that's the fundamental of what we're doing. Match a product, use a calculator tool, do it quickly. And then the final stage we do is what's known as an AI interview. So what we're doing is really listening to, asking them set questions, listening to how they answer, what's going on, and trying to understand more about them. And then we take from about 1,000, we go down to about 50 candidates. And then those 50 candidates will go through a full 2 weeks worth of training with us. So they go through initial kind of like onboarding, setting up tools. We'll set up with them with like 1 day of video training. And then they do a lot of like one-to-one training. They'll do over-the-shoulder training with my team. We do all things like Keeper, Seller Amp, how to find products, how to verify suppliers. And we'll do that for the first like week and a half. And then we're going to go through that entire process, and we're always testing them every single day. We're testing their results. We want to see what they've learned, have they learned what we've taught them. And then we're having a lot of contact time as well. And then for the final 3 days is when we match them with a client. So what we're doing is we're saying like, hey, Amanda, what's your criteria? You're like, I'm US, I'm doing toys, here's my things. So then we're going to take the top 5 of the VAs and we're going to test them against your criteria. And we're going to get them sourcing for 3 days against that criteria. And then the best VA who finds the most results is the one we place with you. And the whole point, what we're looking for is, while we do a lot of recruitment and we go through a lot of assessment, the fundamental level is those who find more deals by physical number is generally the best one. So even with all the work that we do, The stats don't lie. And we just want to do numbers, volume of deals, the ability to learn. That's the best part. Make sense?
Yes, thank you so much. Carlos has a
Yeah.
question. Go ahead, Carlos.
Absolutely. Tom, the service for your VA, how much is the cost for the month, or how that works with the money?
So I'll be honest with you. Right now, we've closed until April. We're restructuring the VA service, and the reason is I'll kind of talk you through like the costs and then like what we're doing going forward. So the reason is what we've noticed is a lot of the hiring. There's lots of people at different levels. So what we want to do is work closer with clients to basically guarantee results. That's one of the big problems we get. And the big problem we find is that a lot of clients are at very different levels of skill, their business at different skill levels. So therefore, what we need to do is a lot of training of the clients to support them in deal analysis, helping them find a niche, managing the VA on a daily basis to help get the results. That's the key metric. And our problem comes is that we find a lot of the people right now, especially in the Amazon space, are very much at the beginning area, which causes a real struggle for them to ramp up. So there's a lot of things that we need to fix. So we're trying to basically amalgamate our leads, our VAs into one package so that we support you to get a better service, and then the VA will be with you forever afterwards. So that will be released up into April. But for you, your cost, and generally we say whenever you're looking to hire, looking to hire a VA, 25,000, which is about, I think Amanda wrote it down, 400 and I say $450 a month. That's a really good wage. Great wage to start with. I'm a big believer personally of not increasing baseline salaries by very much at all. If anything, we probably increase it by about 3 to 6% per year. That's it. I don't want to increase my base. What I do want to do is give very good performance related bonuses. And if we talk about performance-related bonuses, we always look at actual profits, not spend, not number of deals found. We want, if my company makes money from your deals, then you will get a proportion of that profit. And that way we're incentivizing them not to share deals, but also to really drive the company forward. Does that help?
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Appreciate it.
Cool. You're welcome. No problems.
Thank you.
Carry on.
I have a question about structuring bonuses. How do you go about doing that? I mean, I have my ways. I've been doing it with my VAs, but it's not structured by any means.
Are you happy for me to share something in the chat?
Absolutely.
Tom can't spell. Yeah, we go. Cool. So you can download the 3 VAs bonus schemes that we have right there. So you can get them for free. So basically, there's a small, medium, large. Now, we use a large scheme, but I'll kind of talk you through. The small and medium ones are quite simple. They basically just say, if you generate this much profit for the company, then you will get, it's like a tiered level. So we kind of work on that. So that's quite simple. And I really recommend doing that. I would say this, all incentives should be both based off actual profits. They should never be based off deals found. They should never be based off spend. Why? Because if you think about incentives, if your VA's incentive is to find more deals, then that means they might go and find more products whereby they can only buy 3 or 5. But that doesn't mean you're going to get more spend as a business. You really want the ones that you can spend, like you can buy 100 or 1,000 units, because if it's a great deal, you want to buy that. So number of units or deals found is not a good metric. Spend isn't a good metric, because what you're basically saying is, I don't care about how much money the company makes so long as they spend enough. Now, I understand that from our perspective, it's saying, well, if the company spends a lot of money, obviously we're going to make a lot of revenue and profit. Great. But what if that VA is then selling those deals to someone else? Or if they learn that, hey, the more deals I supply to you and spend, the more money you're going to get me. Hey, who else can I supply these deals to get it? And again, we want to discourage that. So what we always do, and the way we do it, is every product that our VAs find, we basically change the SKU so it has VA1, VA2, VA3 in it. So if I find deals, I'm called like VA1, I think it is, but you'll have VA2, VA3. And then when we get the P&L, which is off, it could be Inventory Labs, it could be off any other seller board, for example, you just download the full P&L at the end of the month by product, and then you just firstly filter for the word VA2. And then all you can do is add up the profit, and you go, if the profit is over 2,000, 5,000, 6,000, you get X amount. So therefore, you know that your VA has made amount of money. And I would strongly, strongly recommend doing it this way, because what you do want to know, especially if you've got one VA, is actually like, how much money does this VA make me? You understand it as the business, because obviously you see Inventory Labs or, Seller Board, but you're like, this individual person, how well they're doing. And to give you a big idea, like in my business, my top performing VA, and I've done videos on this, spend per week on a bad week is about 5,000. On a good week would be about 30,000 in a week. And again, that's blending with wholesale. On a I think her record in gross profit in a single week is about 8,400 US dollars, which is fantastic because obviously I'm paying her like 170 base, if that makes sense, or $150 base plus bonuses. But she's going to get a really great bonus out of that. But us as a business, we've invested a lot of money in her deals. Those deals have now sold. We made 8 grand in gross profits. Fantastic. I now know that that VA is a winner and I should obviously treat her really well. But also as well, when I'm comparing VAs, which VAs are doing well and which ones are not, and why. That allows me to investigate more. And again, when we talk about forests as leaders, you might have one VA doing beauty, one VA doing toys, and then you might look at how much money have we deployed, capital deployed, and then what's the profit on them, and go, where is my business more efficient and effective? So therefore, you might say we should focus more on this field or this forest rather than this forest. But again, giving you the tools to manage your business more effectively. That makes sense, Brian?
Yeah, absolutely. So you would do a monthly bonus, basically, you're saying.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so the way we do it now, and you'll see it on the large bonus scheme, is we don't do it by gross profits for the individual VA because we have purchasing managers and admin VAs. What we do is we basically take the net profits of the company. So basically every month on about after the 15th, my admin VA will sit down with my purchasing manager, me, and all the sources in a live call, and my admin VA will go through the full P&L. She'll talk me through the balance sheet, she'll talk me through the balance sheet and the P&L. And then basically they'll say, what's the net profit? We're looking at the bottom. And so then we attribute that net profit. And it's about 8%, I think we give out to our team. And we basically share it out based on salary, baseline salary. But then what we do is we give a certain variation based on the sources as well. And you'll see it in the sheet. So whereby one source has outperformed another one on actual gross profit revenue, they'll gross profit achieved, they'll get a disproportionate amount of the bonus scheme because they bought in most of the deals. So that way it ties. And again, what am I really trying to do? I'm basically trying to tie in the bonuses we pay to our team members on company performance. So they are incentivized for the company to grow. And I kind of took this away from reading Freakonomics, but also listening at in the last 2007 crash, when you had bankers walking away with millions of dollars, but banks failing. And you're like, there's a massive incentive problem there. And you're like, no, I want my team to be incentivized that the company succeeds. And so when it does, they succeed as well. But if the company doesn't succeed, they don't get bonuses. So that's the way we try and structure it.
Thanks, Tom. It looks like Felix had a couple of questions here, but everybody's wanting the desired results rapidly, right? So he's asking, what is the biggest challenge or obstacle in working with a VA in order to rapidly create the best environment for success? Personally, I would say not communicating with your VA. Communication is huge. If after the first day they're giving you leads and you don't like any of them, well, you've got to jump in there immediately and talk to them about why. But sorry, Tom, I didn't want to hijack that.
No. It's good. I'm just thinking. So there's a lot of kind of interesting points around it. So it's like, where do we go? I kind of say there's like 3 things I'd really kind of touch upon. One thing, okay, when you come to people management, one thing I always really try and focus on is what's their why. So I kind of whenever I'm talking to team members, I kind of have the question why are you here? Why do you turn up to work every day? What does it mean to you? Why do you want to do this? You could just stay at home and doom scroll all day, but why do you get out of bed and do this? And it isn't even so I do want to kind of understand what they're trying to say, but also as well, I don't just want it to be I'm here to pay the bills to feed my children. I want it to be more of what's an aspirational goal? Where do they want to go in life? And what I'm really trying to figure out is how does this job that I'm giving them right now help them on their journey? Why? Because same as when you're in the gym, when when the personal trainer is trying to push you to do that one extra rep, you don't want to do it. It's going to be hard. But if you're going to say man, you're going to get a great 6-pack ab, all the Latina girls are going to love you, that might be the reason why you get the strength to do it. So I'm really trying to figure out what is your why to go forward. Because I'm going to use that throughout our entire journey together to support you in pushing you further towards learning things which are going to, and basically learning is uncomfortable. So to push you out your comfort zone. So that's a really important thing for me. Now, the second thing I'll kind of add to that is specifically when we have, so when we talk about, we talk to all our clients every single day. You should be having an hour call with your VA, and we have a very set structure that you go through, which is how are you, water cooler talk, get to know them on a personal level for 5 minutes. Number two, what's the goal? Always come back to spend. That's the key metric we're looking at. And then number three, analyzing deals, spending time with them, analyzing deals. And for you, again, we've got to be really visual. So whenever we're talking about, you want to create success, one of the biggest challenges you'll see is that with clients is that number one, they won't, when I jump on a screen share or analyze deals with VAs, and you can see it on many of my calls, or if you watch any of my keeper videos, I'm literally, first time I look at the deal, I load up the screen share and I would get my drawing tool out and I'll start drawing on the keeper chart to show the VA what I'm thinking about, because they really need to understand how I'm thinking and be able to visually see it. So the more kind of visual interactions you can give them, the more you can explain is so important, because what at a fundamental level, what you're doing is transferring how you think to the VA. And by the way, you might think, oh, but it's just analyzing deals. It's not. The way Amanda analyzes deals, the way Brian analyzes deals, the way I analyze deals are all going to be slightly different. Why? Because all our businesses are slightly different. They're going to, Amanda's got her own prep center. She has different requirements that. For me, I'm completely remote. I have different requirements I'm looking for. And basically in the way we operate within our niches, they're going to be different. So we've got to transfer that knowledge to them, why we choose some and why we don't. And again, whenever I talk about that with the VA, we've got to do that in a way which is positive, because we don't want to keep battling people down. So it's like, I'd be like, I love this, I love that, but because of this, I can't do it. But I think you found potentially a good deal. Just next time, let's change this, and then we're going to be there. And a lot of times I really like to do the oh my God, this deal's so good, I'm going to have to remortgage my house. This is going to be crazy. I just really want to build up that energy with them. I want them to feel like, wow, this is great. Like, I'm going to get there. I'm getting there. Like personal motivational trainer, we're doing it. And I think that's a really important point. And the general rule that we kind of share with all our clients is, and I still do it to this day, you should do month one, 5 calls per week, which is 1 call every day for an hour. Month 2, 3 calls per week, and then month 3, 1 call per week. That's the fixed structure. But the general structure I always think about with staff, if everything's going well and we're really happy with the results, you really won't see me. But if we've got problems, or if I'm concerned about something, or maybe it's changing direction, and the worse it is, the more you see me. And this could be twice a day, even 3 times a day, if we really need to make some dramatic changes quickly. But for you, if your VA is not performing, you're jumping on a call every day. Even if you're on month 5 and you used to do 1 per day, always jumping back, increasing frequency, because again, you're realigning what's happening. Now, again, this could be the fact that and you're trying to figure out, is it them? Is it their deal analysis? Or is the forest they're chopping in just changed and it's not the same anymore? So again, you've got to try and figure that answer out. Now, the final thing I'll kind of add to that, and I think this is kind of not so much about a motivational part, but something to really watch out for. And this isn't so much about VAs, it's just people in general. Fundamental level, you want people to learn from their mistakes. So what do we mean by this? You might say to your VA, I don't want to see any deals from Walmart. And the next day you get a deal from Walmart. Like, it's the classic one. So what's the kind of specific tactical steps that you could do for that? So the way we do it is, the analogy or a saying I have in the company is, if it isn't written down, it was never said. So at the end of every call, we have anything which we agree on. And again, I'm not going to do thousands of detail. I'm going to be the key action points or key changes I want to make. So no more deals from Walmart. I will basically write them down and I'll put them in the chat between me and the VA. Because I say, if it was never written down, it was never said. And I'll just be like, can you check that? Have you got it? Yes, understood. Great. And then the next day, if I see those problems, or if I see a deal from Walmart, I'm going to be like, first of all, tell me about this deal. And then I'll see if they go, oh, it's from Walmart, damn. And I'll be like, can you screen share? Show me the chat from yesterday. Read me, what did I say? Okay, point number 3 says no from Walmart. Where's this deal from? It's from Walmart. Okay, what happened? And again, kind of like a court of law or HR issue, you always investigate first before you kind of go, oh my God, I want to fire you. Because people make mistakes. It could be that their children had problems or something in the morning and they just kind of completely forgot. But what you're really trying to do is figure out like you're trying to change behavior on your VA, and you want to communicate very clearly. You want to follow up, be supportive. But what you're really trying to figure out is are they willing to change? And what you will find, and if you get a good member of staff, and what you're really looking for is that member of staff is every time you ask them to do something or you teach them something new, they take it on board and they run with it. Now, they might not be the best, like to start with, but they run with it and they keep going and going and going. What you don't want is someone who say, don't find me Walmart deals, and next 3 days you get Walmart deals. You're like, I just can't teach you because you're not willing to change your behavior. And at a fundamental level, whether it be me learning Spanish or like going to the gym, this is all about behavior change. That's all we're trying to do. And you're trying to change the behavior of your VAs to get them to basically model you and then ultimately get better than you to find more deals and to grow your business. And you do that by encouraging, checking in, and having a really strong why, because that behavior change is always focused towards that why. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I really like that the analogy there of the writing it down or it didn't happen. I like that. I think I'm going to start implementing that there. Just to kind of piggyback off what you had said there about your time frame of when you would speak to them daily and whatnot for the first like month or so. This is what I did for with both my VAs for the first couple of months. Is every day their deal sheet would be submitted, and we would jump on a call every day 9 p.m. and we would just go over the whole every lead, right? I would go through every single part of it. I would go through the keeper process to the whole thing, and I would just be explaining my likes and dislikes of every single thing. And eventually, I think it just kind of clicked with them. This is what they're looking for, which I think was really helpful. Not that as I think when I first got a VA, I think I was more anticipating a lot more free time, but it was a lot of work at first. But I think that at this point, it's kind of running on autopilot where it's much less work for me now.
Yeah, and I think like I'll say this now. There are like Naval Ravikant talks about it. There are four forms of leverage. One of them, labor leverage, is the worst form of leverage because unfortunately people have emotions and feelings and they make mistakes and everything. But if you get it right, and like it takes a lot of skill to learn. But it's what you need to truly be rich and to free up time. Like it makes such a big difference. And again, what we're trying to do is, and I'll say this now, like when I first started, I had 88 VAs at my peak, and I could have probably done that on maybe a fifth of them if I had like really just developed people a lot better. And now we have a much, much smaller team. I've spent so much time training and developing and just like making sure that they're like really spot on. And I mean like really OCD, not like obsessive, but like I'll give you a good example to when we train my purchasing manager who does all the buying for me. She analyzes deals and buys. Every single deal she purchased for a period of 6 months, she had to record a Loom video for. And for every deal that went well, we sat down together and watched her analysis of that Loom video. And every deal that went bad, i.e. sold below price because the market crashed, we went back and watched it together. And what we're trying to do is just help her learn from her purchasing mistakes. And also, I learned so much from it as well. But like that just takes so much time and effort. But once you get it and start learning that behavior change, it's incredible. And then you're like, what do I do with my time? Which is really nice. So, hey, well done. I love it, Brian.
I'd say at this point we probably get on a call once a week or so, and then sometimes not even one VA. I think maybe once every 2 weeks, but I also try to make like an appearance where the cameras are on, everybody's in the call once a month, just to kind of remind everybody that we're all real. We're we do exist. We're not just a person on the other end of a keyboard. So
I do the same thing. So once a month we have the P&L meeting. So I have that. I'm in that one. I see everyone. But I meet my admin VAs every week because we do finance. It takes 30 minutes on a Sunday. And then every Monday I have a purchasing manager check-in. That's an ops meeting. That's 1 hour. And then on Tuesday I have a 1 hour, we do a checklist, we're basically just audit checking the entire business. So that takes another hour. And then throughout if we have projects we're working on, so it might be like we want to change niches, we want to do something different, we want to try some other projects, or even like change the repricer, for example, then I might have 1 or 2 meetings a day as we go through that process together. But again, that process is very collaborative rather than like me telling them. It's like, right, we're going to figure this out together, but you're going to do it. So we'll get this right now and then make it happen. And then once we start seeing the results, Tom steps back because it's all good, and then you don't need me anymore. And we just measure the results from there. Yeah, it's really good.
Felix says here, do you suggest VAs focus on more specific niche? I've been trying to find more products from different categories, but ultimately wanting to have certain category niche to focus more time and energy.
The short answer is yes, but I'll tell you the hack that, like, the way we think about it. So I say this to everyone, you should have a list. Like, let's say, for example, right now you're selling in the US and you've got about 100 reviews. You should have a list of people who are ahead of you, not by much. Like they've got 200 reviews, for example. And you should probably have a list of about 20 to 50 different storefronts of sellers who are ahead of you. Now, what you're doing is you're basically looking at those storefronts to see, and they should be like you. So if you're selling Nike sneakers, they should be selling Nike sneakers as well. So, but you're also looking at what else are they selling that I'm not. So you're like, someone like me who sells Nike sneakers, who is a bit ahead of me, they're selling Nike and they're doing toys and games. And in toys and games, they're doing Hasbro and Lego. And what you'll do is out of those 50, could be 100, but you'll start to see commonalities. And we basically check this list that we have, and we update it all the time, about once every quarter. And again, this is forests. So when we're thinking about like, I'm doing sneakers, Nike, great, but of those people, we're also saying like they're doing Hasbro and Lego. So therefore, when I get my VAs, I'll be like, right, I want you to do 4 days on Nike this week, but I think there could be a good opportunity in Lego or Hasbro. Here are 5 storefronts that are doing that. Please go storefront stalk them. But what we're not looking for is specifically the products. What we are looking for is what products do they buy and where are they buying them from? So really the brands and the suppliers. And then what we're trying to do is get ahead of the storefront stalking curve, not the kind of 4 weeks it is right now in the check-in time in the US. But we're trying to figure out what brands, where are they buying them from? And if we start spending time looking for those brands and those suppliers, do our VA start finding deals? And what we'll look at is, are they now finding for that one day more than they would typically on Nike? And so therefore we should transfer more time onto that. But what we might do is we might say, look, just test it for the next 4 weeks, do a Friday every week. Let's see what we can find. But again, that's how we look at transitioning into new niches, figuring out new niches by following what the competition are doing, who are like us, but slightly different. And then once we're like, you can do it yourself if you want, see the measures, or transition a VA into it on like a part-time basis and get them doing the other part the other way. I hope that makes sense.
Marie says, do you have a VA available or do you hire them and train them when you have the demand for the seller? If they're available, why are they waiting for a job from you instead of working with someone else?
So a lot of our VAs that we have, so they're always available. Not right now, because unfortunately we're going through the transition stage, but for the last like 5 years or 4 years, they've always been available. And the reason is what we want is we're willing to lose VAs at a fundamental level because we hire, train en masse. So we're always having VAs coming through. And what we realize is that, again, what's the key metric we're all looking at? Ultimately spend, but before spend, especially in training, how many deals can you find? So what we might do is we might train 45 VAs, of which only 10 actually complete the training because a lot of fail, a lot of quit. By the way, we get a very high attrition rate. It does happen. And then of those 10, we might put them through, the required criteria for like 2, 3, 4, 5 clients. And then what we realize is that some of them just are not performing. So we're like, cool, we'll lose them. It's fine. Doesn't matter. And you're probably right. They might go on and work for someone else or like not stay with us because we've never placed them with a client. But what we are looking to do is we basically accept that we are going to have attrition within our hiring process. But what we want to do is just get the best ones as measured by the number of deals found with our clients. And then obviously when they work with our clients, the clients are getting spend. And with our aftercare managers in the VA Academy, the one thing I sit down with them every Thursday is we literally go through every single one of our clients and we go, what's their spend? How much are they spending? And we're literally going like, this client's doing really well. This one's not. Right. What do we need to fix? How do we need to help them? And that's why we come around with the change now, because what we notice is some clients do really, really well. They've got a lot of experience, it works, but some of the clients don't because they haven't figured out niches, they haven't figured out everything else. So what we're really looking at is like, we need to not only get the great VAs, but also support the clients on a more one-to-one basis, closer to help them get the thing. So coming back to your answer, we do lose VAs and we always have them available. Hope that helps.
So you said you're not hiring. Oh, sorry. You said you weren't hiring them right now, or or what?
So we're basically restructuring the VA Academy,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we're going to reopen in April. And the reason, so this is the reasons we said we just want to guarantee better results for our clients. That's the key
I got you.
metric. Yeah.
So now, if somebody were to hire your services, this was partially something that I kind of experienced where my first VA that I'd gotten, I wasn't quite satisfied with her, and we ended up letting her go. Could you just expand on that a little bit about the refund policy and such?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
oh, go on, Amanda.
I was also wanting to know more about that, or what some people call an insurance policy. It sounds so inhumane, like we're trading him in, you know?
Yeah, I think like so fundamental level is when you okay, most people who hire a VA have never done people management before. And so you can, we've seen it many times. You can have a really good VA, but unfortunately you don't manage them right and things go wrong. And I have a really kind of like, it's a really bad saying. It's like you should probably fire your first VA, not for the fact they're a bad person, but because you probably set them up right. And by the way, we're not saying you should fire them, but like we will place them with someone else and you say, look, I haven't done it right. And a good example might be like, I didn't time track them, I was too soft, we didn't meet regularly, we didn't do the right things. And again, as leaders, we need to be doing the right actions that are going to help, as managers, that are going to help our workers chop down trees. That's the really important thing. So when we talk about, and you talked insurance policy, the way we thought about it was fundamentally some VAs, and we've seen this many times, they might be amazing at sneakers, but they're just really bad at beauty. And so therefore, even if you've got an experienced VA, when they come in, they're just not getting the results you're looking for. So what we wanted to do is de-risk it for our clients. So fundamental level, when you get your VA from us, at any point in the first 12 weeks of that VA, if you're not happy with the results, and even if we're not happy with the results, we will recommend, or you can ask to replace that VA, get a new trained VA for you, and we reset the 12-week timer back to 0. And the whole aim behind this is that you come to us and we're just going to support you in getting a great VA who works with you, clicks, you have a great relationship, and they get results, which is measured by spend. And so therefore your business is going to grow. And that's a key thing we're looking at. And again, we've seen it with some clients whereby they like, we really like the VA, we're trying to see how it goes. And I'm like, they're not performing, you need to change. Like, no, we want to give them more time. And I'm like, look, come on, we need to change. So sometimes this is the leader who needs to learn the skills about becoming a leader and like how to manage someone. And sometimes it's the VA, and that could be the VA themselves, i.e., like they're finding deals from Walmart when you've not asked for it. Or number two, they're just not good at that niche. And they've worked really well in one niche, but this niche is just not working for them. And that's what we see sometimes as well. And that's the thing that we like to do with our clients, just to make sure that when you choose us, you're going to get peace of mind that it might not be a home run on the first run, but what you can do is get that replacement, and you're protected by that. Does that make sense?
I think something that anybody that is interested, obviously there's 12 people, so there's 9 people in here that may not have a VA and is interested in having a VA, and that's why they're here. So, but the very first thing that they need to be is a leader. If they're not a leader, that is the fundamental step here. If you've never experienced being a leader, like what do you think is the top 3 qualities of a leader that will make this whole experience of hiring their first VA successful? The top 3 qualities of a leader for a VA employer.
It's going to be challenging. You're like, top 3. Okay. I think one of the most important things you could really do, like the most important thing we can do especially as human beings, again, I come back to like when before you judge someone, you should always investigate. Same as like the police and the legal system. Before we pass judgment, we always have a trial, for example. And same thing in HR and companies. Before we pass in a punitive or any kind of judgment in a company, we always have to go through an investigation process. And the same thing with us within our companies, because, by the way, because you're in the States and you're working with some in the Philippines, there is no legal protection. So they can't come back and sue you. You kind of know that. You are judge and jury. But you do have to kind of put on that hat where it's like, look, I have told you not to source Walmart. And many times clients we've seen it where it's like, I've asked them not to do this and they've done it. And I'm like, can I ask a question? Is it written down anywhere? Was it made very clear? Like, has it obviously been stated whether this is broken? They're like, no. And I'm like, sometimes when people talk, and by the way, having good communication is a very important part of leadership. I definitely say that's number two. But coming back to number one, which is about having the ability to switch off the judgment mind before you've completed the investigation mind. And a good kind of analogy I would use, and again, I use this like if it wasn't written down, it was never said. And I do this all the time. Why? Because when I say on day one, don't source Walmart, and on day two, they source Walmart. And what do I do? And I explained it in the demonstration. I said, jump on a screen share with the VA, get the VA to screen share, and I go to the chat, look at the chat from yesterday. What does it say? Please read it back to me. What does point number 3 say? No Walmart. Where is this deal from? This deal is from Walmart. And I'll go, why? And if I hear a good excuse, like, I'm really sorry, sir, like, my son's been taken to hospital this morning, I'll be like, look, don't worry. Look after your son. Just tomorrow, no more Walmart, please. Like, take care. Is everything okay? But if there's no valid reason, then I'd be like, look, right now I've asked you to do something and you've not done it. Do you understand how this is a concern for me? And again, we're dealing with human beings. So I'm really trying to understand why. And I will literally try and help them as much as possible. I want them to tell me something's wrong. Like I wasn't clear or something happened. That's so, so important. But if I can't hear that, if I don't get it, and I'm really trying to like beg of them, but if I can't hear that, then I need them to understand that their actions are basically going to cause my business not to grow, and therefore they're not helping. So therefore they won't have a part in this company. And I need them to understand that. And again, that's hard because to me, my word is gospel and I'm super clear. So, but obviously I'm not. And I kind of say it to people, you can say it with Filipinos. You can literally go, and again, point number 2, communication. You can go, hi, tomorrow I'd like you to, do you understand? And they'll be like, yes, sir, I do. And they'll be like, well, I don't even understand me, so I have no idea how you understand. So again, clear communication is so, so important. Again, if it's not written down, it's not, it was never said. And then the third one, what would I say then as a good leader? I think I'd say be inspiring. Like, be not so much be inspiring, be a people person. We're dealing with human beings, care. That's the one thing I've had many, many times for my staff. It's like, why do you like working for us? It's like, because we're not I don't just feel like I'm here to do a job, but I feel like you care about me as a person. And again, when you have staff who have problems, you're like, is everything okay at home? What's happening? I get to know them, I understand. And they feel like they can talk to you, and you're like, hey, look, go take time off, like do what you need to do. That's cool. But also as well, like as a leader, I'm not going to be a walkover. I'd be like, I think you've had too much time off now. We need to get clear about the rules. But again, like I care about them on a personal level. So they know there's a good balance and that works. So that's probably my 3 things. Hope that makes sense as a waffle.
Yes, thanks, Tom. I also wanted to touch base on something that might arise for anybody that gets a VA. So when we first got our VA through Tom, she was very experienced. She had 3 years experience, I believe, and her expertise was in shoes and makeup. And we loved that, first of all. And then we were like, okay, we want you to try something new. And we had a call with her, and we wanted her to pivot into another category. And she was really struggling. And so I was like, well, you know what? I want to see that you're actually trying. So even put a bad lead on the sheet. And then in the notes section, tell me why it's a bad lead. Why is it a bad lead? I want to see that you're trying, and I want to see that you know how to analyze the deal. So even though it was a bad lead that ended up on the sheet and I could be considered, you might consider it wasting time, but it's not really, because they're analyzing the deal for you immediately, showing you what they know that you want in a lead, and that they tried to pivot into another category. Elle did not have very good experience finding leads in toys when we first got her, but this last Q4 just passed, she pivoted into toys and she was finding them every day. Maybe not all the leads were so say she gave me 6 leads a day. One lead might be a bust, but she at least analyzed it and said why it wasn't a good deal and to pass on it. And I think that is a great way to introduce a new category for a VA. At least, have them analyze the deal, tell you why it's bad, and then, or maybe when you get your eyes on it and you say, you know what, actually, if you look back a year ago, it was selling for, even more. So I'm going to take a chance on this. You know, your analyzed your eyes on that quote bad lead from them might not actually be bad. So that's why I encourage them to put it on the sheet.
Yeah, I'll kind of add to that. One thing we see with clients is when they come to us, they're like, cool, what's your deal criteria? And they literally bring out like 2 pages of A4. Like, this is my deal criteria. I'm like I can't even remember that. Good luck. Um, so what we say is like when you're dealing with the VA, the first thing you want to do is get a flow of deals, even if they're not good. Like you want to bring your criteria back as much as possible, so you just get something coming through the door. And ideally, once you get stuff coming through, like if it's more than 10 deals a day, then you're like, cool, now start restricting it. But also, what you want is every time you meet with them, it's not like, okay, what deals we got? Oh, I haven't found any today, sir. Like that's not good. You can't have a conversation. But if you're like, look, I've got 10 deals. Okay, it doesn't mean we're going to buy any of them, but let's go through them. Let's have the conversations. And again, like you said, oh, let's look back at last year. Oh, wow, that did really well. You wouldn't buy this based off today, but look at the historical. Yeah, I'll take a risk on that one. But again, you want the flow of deals first. And then once you start getting lots of deals, then you start restricting them down. And that's the key point, because that's about learning.
Thank you,
Yeah, I
Tom.
totally agree with all of that.
Yeah, there was two comments that kind of blend together. Mohammed said, "How do you track how many hours they actually work, or do they go based on how many leads they find?" Brian and I had said that you had recommended us to use Team Logger. And then Marie had asked, "How do you know if VAs don't share leads? I heard sometimes they share leads with other VAs." And I would say that Team Logger comes kind of back into that and looking in your history. Are they actually looking at the deals inside SaaS? But go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I think so. It's like definitely for time tracking, I would build a company without it again. Um, we use Team Logger, it costs $1 per VA per month. So it's like $1.50, so it's like nothing. Um, and really, really useful. And again, if you're like when you get a new VA, you should definitely be like, oh, they found 5 deals today. Cool. Let's go check the time tracking and let's look at the screenshots and let's look at when they found the deals and let's look at the journey they had towards them. If all of a sudden they're looking at sneakers and a sudden Lego turns up, you're like, something seems a bit suspect here. So you just want to be sure like they're actually doing the sourcing. They're not kind of picking them up off another sheet somewhere else, or maybe they got from a friend. That's important. And again, you're just kind of like, just kind of putting things to bed because unfortunately they do, like in this world, they can sell you a VA or they can give you, Mum Amanda, they can give you a deal, but then also they can give that deal to like 10 other people as well. And they're not naive, like they're aware of this. So like when we think about how do we stop that, there's two things you've got to think about. One is the physical stuff, which is time tracking, which is checking screenshots, like making sure that all these things are happening, which are physically like they're not. I make sure they're not sharing anything else. Like we always use like G Suite, so they have like Tom at FastTrackFBA, VA1 at FastTrackFBA, so I own all the sheets and everything, so I know what I can see that as well. So they're the physical things, and you're tracking and assessing. But if the CIA can't stop Americans giving secrets to the Russians, you're never going to be able to stop your VAs selling deals to other people. So just because you've got this stuff in place, it doesn't mean it's going to stop. So what you need to think about is we need to get the will from them, the motivation. And how do you get that? That is, what do they want? What's their why? Where are they going? Why did they take this job? Helping them towards that goal. Two, you need to say, hey, let's put a great incentive in place. Again, the incentive is aligned towards the business performance. So if they share the deals and other people get those deals and the deals crash, then the business goes down and they don't get much money. But if they don't share the deals, those deals make more money and therefore they make more bonuses. Fantastic. And then again, just really, I don't know if you know it, we don't work for companies, we work for line managers. And so therefore be a line manager, which is like someone who cares about your staff, that they really don't want to cause you harm. Like I'll give you an idea. I have not seen out of 1,000 clients we've hired or helped 1,000 VAs we've placed, a lot of them have gone to purchasing managers who've been given credit cards by their clients. We've not had one who's stolen the credit card details or bought anything. Like, out of 500 clients, I've never heard it once. And why? Like, Filipinos are generally really trustworthy, but you got to be like be a great boss. Be someone who like I love working for Sir. I don't want to cause him harm. That's the important thing. So again, they love you. They want to work for you, and we work for line managers. Be a great person. That's what I'd say. That help.
Yeah, I'd like to also piggyback off that too, because I think it really like both of my VAs, I know we're on like a very personal level with each other and whatnot. And I think that just being a good boss to them and knowing that I'll always take care of them and not, nickel and dime and whatnot, I don't think they have that desire to, go around behind my back. Now, obviously they could be. I don't believe they are though. I don't even have that suspicion. Now, it's always in the back of my mind, it's there, but at the same time, I don't give them motive to want to, per se backstab me. So I think it really comes down to being a good boss.
Yeah. And by the way, I would just say this, if you ever get a chance, great business expense, go to the Philippines, meet your staff. Like it's an amazing place to go visit. Definitely do it.
I
But
love
the
it.
one thing I'll say is like when you go there, you'll just realize how different culture is. And like Western employment is a country mile is a completely different way of working from what you get in Asia, and particularly around the Philippines. Asia is very hierarchical. So it's, Mum Amanda, Sir Tom, Sir Brian. Like I always say the funny one is like, I go like, I'm not Sir Tom, I'm Tom. And if you call me sir, I will fire you. They're like, sorry, sir, which is a really funny one. But obviously, I'm trying to make it like, but what I'm trying to say is like, I'm a human being. We're here to work together. I'm not here to be your boss. Like, if I have to be, I will be, but I don't want to have to ever do that. But I want you to do as a great day of work. I want to care about you. And I want you to enjoy coming to work. And if you need flexibility, because we can offer that with flexible working hours, then great. Like, I have interviewed and I have met and I've even seen people in the Philippines who travel 4 hours a day to get to work and then do an 8 hour day and then do a 4 hour return journey every single day. And it's horrible. And and by the way, they're doing that for about 15,000 pesos a month and you're paying 25. So please understand that like it's a good wage to start with. You get great bonuses, obviously, if you perform, and then you get flexible working hours, and you get to work for a boss who comes from a culture which is very different. It's a very different thing. So like very different. So like it's really, really good, honestly. And I've worked with we employed the HR business partner of Pepsi Cola in the Philippines. She, directly managed 5,000 staff, so we knew her. I've hired my old ops manager. She was 4 years with me. She literally managed 5,000 people in other telecoms companies. Like they know the culture really, really well. And they say like, this is a great job for all Filipinos. Honestly, it's such a great place to be. So enjoy it.
Are there any more questions before we let Tom go here?
I would like to ask one more question. It's been a really long time, and I wasn't the one who spoke with you. So it was Andrew. What is the process like? Like when everybody here clicks on Brian's affiliate link, what is the process? Like who are they going to speak to? Are they going to speak face to face with somebody? Are they going to talk to you? Are they ever going to see you again after this call? And from there, like what's the interview process like? Is there an interview process?
So really simple. The moment you click the link, generally you'll go through to a payment. And then if you need to have a call, you can have a call to discuss it with us if you've got further questions. But generally you'll go straight through to a payment, you'll make the payment, and then we'll ask you to book in a call with your onboarding manager. So this is the person who will manage you for the whole 12 weeks with your VA. So they'll support you with any additional training. If you've got any questions, if you want one-to-one training, support, guidance, emails, they're the person who's going to be the point of contact. They're going to be following your journey throughout. Now, we'll go through that. Now, generally, we will place the VA with you unless you ask otherwise. And the reason why we say this is because, again, we're looking at the numbers. We're just looking at the stats. So like, we know the top performing VAs, and then of those top performing VAs, we assess them based on your criteria, marketplace category, and then the VA who does both deals will place with you. And the reason why I say this is I've probably interviewed 10,000 people in my life. And I'm pretty good, and I've done professional training on how to interview, but I still make mistakes to this day. And again, we just want deals. So follow the numbers. Like that's the key metric. So, but if you do want to interview, we'll obviously shortlist and give you the top people. You can do that as well. But it's not a requirement. We don't recommend it. Now, going throughout the whole journey, generally you won't interact with me unless there's a specific requirement to. And if I give you an example of a specific requirement would be that if your spend every week if we're starting to see a decline in spend, or if we're starting to see that your spend isn't where we want it to be, or it's not getting up, and we feel that perhaps maybe it's some work that we need to do with you as a leader, or maybe on your business, what you need to do, then I will get involved and support you with that. But if it's your VA, my team will get involved with your VA and they'll train them on the Filipino hours and they'll communicate with you. But generally, I'd probably say I only really deal with about 10% of our customers because they're the people who've got the biggest problems and we really want to support them. But most of our customers just don't have a problem and they don't need to see me. And that's the whole point. Like, if it relies on me, then obviously we're going to struggle to deal with it. But if I can get my team to do most of the work and they can do it and deliver the great results, then I know we've got a great system which delivers consistent results, which is ultimately what we're looking for. We want consistency in results, not Tom has to do it all and I'm the only one who can do it. So, and by the way, my team are Filipino, so they're great people as well.
Thank you so much, Tom.
You're welcome.
I wanted to know your Facebook group, is that open to the public or is that just for paying Fast Track FBA members?
So we have one open to the public, which is like a general one. And then if you hire a VA from us, you join the private VA membership group, which has got about 550 in right now. So they're all customers who've purchased a VA from us over the last 5 years. And so therefore, if you've got VA related questions, really, really useful. And also I go live in there as well. So if you do want to speak to me, you can see me there in that community as well.
Is the free one just facebook.com/group/FastTrackFBA?
Yes.
Okay, there's the link, guys. And I just want to also just jump in. I know it's been an hour, so we'll let you go soon. But I just, a little public praise for you, Tom. To everybody else, I've had my VA for over a year now. Much longer than that, actually, I think. But Tom is really, he's literally just like this in person. He's so kind, so nice, will talk your ear off. And like, he doesn't make you feel less than. Like, you could be a brand new seller and he'll chat with you like you're an 8-figure seller. I love it. I love your personality, Tom, and I love you for being here and everything you've offered with your service. Thank you so much for your time. And if anybody has any other questions, now is your time.
Thank you. It's really nice. And I think hopefully you've probably seen it in this conversation. Again, when we talk about leadership, I talk about communication. I try to use analogies a lot to help people understand different ways of thinking. And the one thing I always kind of really just comes back to me is there was a time when I didn't even know Amazon didn't sell the product on Amazon. And then when you figured that out, it was like my mind is blown. And then obviously look at yourself now and look at everyone here. That's incredible. And the only difference is that you learned a new piece of information and you saw the whole world a completely different way and you saw a whole new opportunity that you didn't know how to do. And so when we're talking with clients and trying to support them in the business, the whole point is I'm not here to try and prove how good I am. I have no desire to do that. All I'm trying to do is open the door and help you see a light, which we've seen work for us. And again, I always come back to the point, there are many ways to slice the apple. You can do it another way and it's absolutely fine. But what I just want to show you is what have I seen has worked for most people? Because if it's worked for most people, it will probably work for you. And again, we just want to see success for our clients because I think it's an amazing world we live in with so much great opportunity. And again, Amazon's great, but you are working 40 hours a week. But once you get that first VA, and all of a sudden you wake up in the morning and you just have those deals, you're like, what do I do with my day? It's mind blown again. It's the next level. And there goes a level like that. And there are just levels to the game. And I love it. It's a great game to be playing. So thank you.
One last thing for myself. Will you be at any conferences coming up here? Miami Seller Conference or Prosper?
Possibly Miami Sellers Conference. It depends on what goes on with the wedding in the UK and travel times and family and stuff like that. So I'm hoping to make that. Prosper, unlikely. It's not one that I'm planning to attend to, but probably Miami Sellers Conference, I'll be there.
Maybe we'll see you there.
Yeah. How many times have you been to Miami Seller Conference?
I've been twice. Yeah, I've spoken once. I've been twice. Really enjoyed it. If I say to anyone, definitely recommend going to conferences. I think they're really useful. And the biggest reason, if anyone wants to know, is the fact that you get to meet people in person, build relationships. And what the key point is when you have that question that they know the answer to, you now feel like you can just drop them the message and get the answer instead of having to figure it out, which can cost you weeks, months, or years. And that's what you're really looking for, which is amazing. Yes.
We've been to two events now, and Miami Seller Conference blows it out of the park.
That's great.
Unmatched. I really like Miami Seller Conference. I know that we got engaged on the yacht, but that's minor. But
I still
um,
remember that day. I still remember it.
that was fun, huh, honey? You picked a good time. Um, oh, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something I forgot.
Right.
I don't remember. So you might not be at Miami Seller Conference. So obviously you weren't on the lineup to be a speaker
Not
this time.
not speaking that. No, I know Roma's cut it down quite considerably this year versus the prior year. But again, like for me, it's just timings are a struggle because I've got a wedding and I only see my family once a year, and that's the time that I need to go.
Darn.
So it's like, yeah,
Sorry,
Um,
love life.
I
oh,
spoke
go
over
ahead.
here. What's the sign-on cost? Is it 997 still?
So the cost is 997. Well, it was when we reopen, that will change and the package will
Okay.
look different. And so I'll
Okay.
share more information about it when we come in, but that'll be April when that reopens. So just obviously give you a
Okay.
clear heads up. But again, like what we're going to really do is tie it in towards results. That's the key metric we're looking at. So we just want to make sure that, hey, you get a VA, you're going to be like, cool, I know what I need to, I know what I'm getting out of this. And we can guarantee that a lot better.
I did have another question. Do you allow people to partner up and split the fee?
So we have no problem with that. And if you call about like what's it called? Like sharing VAs, absolutely fine. But I just kind of give you one bit of advice. You should never work for two bosses, or three, or four, or five. It will be a complete disaster. So, if multiple sellers want to work together to share a VA, absolutely fine. But there should only be one person who manages the VA, and that's the one person who makes the payment. That's the one person who manages them on a day-to-day basis, and basically, really, the one person we deal with. Because, as you know, if you get a VA to do toys, toys, beauty, sneakers, and something else, like they're not really going to get great. They've got to be focusing on one area to really get that repetitions in and get the reps, and that's where you're going to see the great success. So we can give you advice on it, but again, it should always be one boss, one purchaser, one payment. When we've seen clients try to have five people managing it, the VA just quits. Why? Because you have five people telling the VA what to do, which is called good luck. It's never going to work.
And if anybody has any questions on that, I share my VA with multiple other people as well, and I can definitely give you some insight on that later.
Uh, it's okay if the VA has already been running for a while. They can kind of see that, but they need to know who the one boss is who makes the ultimate decision. But if they're not sure who makes the decision, then it's like too much hard work, especially when they're new. It's really difficult.
Yes,
Yeah, but
I
we
agree
do.
with that.
I think sharing VAs is a really great way to scale very efficiently and quickly. Because most deals, you're probably going to be sharing with other sellers anyway. But if you just know the sellers, it works really, really well.
Yeah, and Mohammed had asked, how do you pay them? I was going to ask you if you're still recommending the app Wise because of the currency converter. Wise is what we use. Brian, what do you use?
Um, boy, Rich in here is the one that actually pays. I believe he does a bank
No,
transfer.
PayPal.
PayPal. Okay,
PayPal.
sorry.
I think PayPal has higher fees. So we don't do PayPal. Wise is still really good. And the other reason why I like Wise is because as you scale, a couple of things. Obviously, you can do batch payments in PayPal. We had problems with that. It just kept wanting authentication. PayPal, my admin VA can basically upload the batch payroll. And then basically, I just get a message on my phone. Would you like to approve? Yes. Done. Really, really simple. So Wise just has better kind of multi-user interface as you scale. But also I think it's just cheaper. But really it's up to you what you're happy with. One thing I will say, I always make a point, my VAs get paid 25,000 in the bank account. There's no currency conversion, there's no fees on top of that. I take all that cost. They don't pay it because the cost to me is nothing, to them it's a lot more. So again, be a good boss. That's the point, and they'll stay with you for life. My longest VA has been, I think, coming up 8 years. Like literally my entire Amazon journey, which is incredible. So, yeah. Any other questions?
That was a lot. Thank you, Tom. Any other
Yeah.
questions, you guys can ask us in our Discords and we'll do our best. Brian and I both have one from Tom and Rich too, but he's kind of a in the shadows kind of guy. So any questions, just ask us. And yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. Tom, thank you so much for dedicating an hour and 20 minutes of your time for us.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. And
Sure.
hopefully I get to catch up with you some in real life at the next event and obviously hear about successes that you're having in Amazon and hopefully VAs and what else and obviously how you travel the world and make me jealous. I'll be loving it.
great, Tom. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Everybody have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye.